The first season of the series Silo left many questions unanswered, so I, like everyone else, eagerly awaited its continuation. However, when the first episode of the second season finally aired, I was disappointed, not just with the events, but also with Juliet's choices. When Juliet left her silo, we were shown that there are dozens of similar shelters nearby. At first glance, they seem identical, but the positioning of the structures relative to each other raises some intriguing questions. Observing closely, you can notice a clear pattern. Each silo is located in the corner of its own square. This layout ensures that each shelter has 3 neighboring silos, while the rest are positioned at a considerable distance. These silos collectively form separate squares. We know that at the very bottom, where the drilling rig is located, there is a tunnel. We saw it on the construction plans stored on the hard drive. It was this tunnel that George discovered before his death. This passageway connects to a neighboring shelter located within the same square. The entire system is meticulously organized. It's impossible to reach silos and other squares through underground tunnels. Of course, Juliet is unaware of this. Her plan is fairly straightforward. She found an abandoned, lifeless silo and knows there should be a passage below. Unfortunately, the lower levels are flooded, but that's not the main problem. Juliet is unaware that she didn't choose a neighboring silo. If you carefully examine the 3 neighboring silos shown at the end of the first season, none of them have a graveyard of corpses outside. Juliet ventured out and headed in that direction, but the first silo she encountered was sealed. This suggests that there might still be living people inside, as there's no pile of bodies near its entrance. Unfortunately, there's no information yet on which numbered silo Juliet managed to enter. However, we do know she won't be able to use the tunnel to return to her original silo. Her chosen shelter is located in a different square. It's fair to say that Juliet didn't really choose this silo. She was simply trying to survive, and that's true. But the fact remains, she has discovered that the world outside isn't what she thought it was. The rebellion? It's actually a terrible idea. It will lead to the death of everyone living in the silo. The very kind of rebellion we saw at the beginning of the episode illustrates this point. These people possess the same information as the residents of the silo Juliet escaped from. They believe they're being deceived, so much so that they're willing to sacrifice everything to uncover the truth. It seems that the story of rebellion is identical for every silo. None of them know what happened, who built the silos, or when. It's likely that they have similar rules about relics, and their library, like others, was burned by insurgents. All of this points to the unsettling possibility that the silo's main purpose isn't actually survival. It would be far simpler to give people all the information. However, total control rests with the head of the IT department. Clearly, someone is issuing orders to them, and they must have a direct connection to the founders. This setup increasingly resembles a grand social experiment. Consider the peculiarities in the rules. Certain individuals are forbidden from having children. A central staircase runs through the silo, connecting all levels, yet there's no elevator. Communication between the lower and upper levels is noticeably problematic. There are no magnifying lenses or specialized tools for medical procedures. Most importantly, partner selection is strictly controlled by the system. Matches are determined using genetic analysis and strict criteria. This system may help prevent overpopulation and genetic mutations, but what if the goal within each silo is to cultivate a specific genetic pool? Perhaps they're aiming to create a population free of hereditary diseases, a generation of completely healthy individuals. A second question arises. What must have happened in the world to force humanity to hastily build dozens of mega shelters, spending an enormous fortune? All the shelters were constructed simultaneously. Due to the rush, there wasn't even time to remove the drilling equipment. Clearly, the issue wasn't about conserving resources, but about racing against time. The outside world looks post-apocalyptic. The city on the horizon is dead, just ruins. Everything seems to have been built in the state of Georgia, likely near Atlanta. Throughout the series, we've been given several hints. The title of the book in the first season is Amazing Adventures in Georgia. In the first episode of the second season, a song plays that was turned on by Russell.
Wherever you're going, I'm going your way.
A song about childhood by an author reflecting on life in the state of Georgia. Megastructures have been built in Georgia, but what happened to the world? At first, I thought the world outside had perished due to radiation, nuclear war. But if that were the case, each bunker would be equipped with devices to measure radiation levels. How else would people inside determine whether radiation was decreasing or increasing over time? Perhaps the air outside has turned toxic. Could all living organisms have been wiped out by some chemical bomb? But then, why would the founders of the bunker go to such lengths to cultivate a perfectly healthy generation? I think the problem lies elsewhere, on the surface. It might be a virus, some incurable disease, and the first symptoms are cloudy blue eyes. If you take a close look at Russell's eyes during the uprising, you'll notice that his retina was green. However, when he contacts Juliet, his eyes are blue, and the left one has turned cloudy. After years spent in the bunker, something caused his retina to change color. Another significant detail is the inscriptions and drawings found in the shafts where the drilling rig is stored. In Juliet's memories, we learn that as a teenager she once descended to the rig with her friend. And what do we see on the wall? Strangely enough, someone drew a blue eye. This cannot be a coincidence. It's a message left by the bunker's builders. Blue eyes are the first sign of an incurable disease. But then why haven't we seen any signs of this in Sheriff Holston or his wife? Their eyes never changed. I believe that Holston and everyone else who volunteers to go outside are deliberately killed. Perhaps just before the door opens, a gas is released on the surface. We also know that the suit is designed with a defect, a clear indication of control. No one is allowed to leave the shelter. People venture outside and see, through their helmet, a simulation of a lush, green, thriving world. Overjoyed, they wipe the camera lens, hoping to glimpse the same beauty from inside. But the founders need time. Time for the gas to seep into the suit. Time wasted by the people who step outside, unable to get far before dying in full view of the shelter's residents. Everyone inside must witness the death, or doubt might creep in. The simulation, the lens wiping, the suit, it's all orchestrated. If the air outside were truly toxic, Juliet would have died in the new shelter. The door there was open. Its seal was broken. Yet she can breathe comfortably. The air is, in fact, breathable. This strongly suggests the founders are poisoning people. Everything is under their control. The most plausible reason for creating the shelters is an incurable disease. The recurring motif of eye color changes and wall drawings is no coincidence. Russell is undoubtedly sick and potentially dangerous. His mental state is compromised. When he first meets Juliet, he doesn't ask the critical questions. Where is she from? How did she get into the bunker? He shows no curiosity about what happened. This could be a result of prolonged isolation. He lived alone in the shelter for so long that he likely lost touch with reality, yet not completely. Russell hasn't gone mad. His survival instincts remain intact. Judging by his behavior and the fact that he hides in a room equipped with survival systems, air ventilation, a generator, and a substantial food supply, his mind is still functional. Strangely, that room appears to have its own separate survival system. I believe Russell once held a leadership position in the IT department. He likely has connections to other shelters. Otherwise, how would the people in Juliet's bunker know she's alive? In the trailer, it's made clear they are aware of her survival and are preparing for a rebellion. This implies Juliet Nichols managed to contact them, but didn't have time to reveal the truth. The world outside is dead. The rebellion is a nightmare and a terrible idea. The founders built dozens of shelters, deliberately erasing all information. They're trying to cultivate a healthy generation because humanity faces an incurable disease. The only hope is to develop absolute immunity. People who are completely resistant to the illness. The founders are controlling the process as much as possible. They must have connections to each bunker and issue orders through the IT department, all in the name of human survival. Juliet must find a way to stop the rebellion. She needs to return to her bunker and tell everyone the truth. Otherwise, everyone will die. The lower levels are flooded, and even if she manages to create a makeshift diving apparatus to reach the tunnel, she won't be able to return to her bunker that way. There's only one option. She must cross the surface and find her way back home, hoping they will let her in. Thank you for watching this video till the end. Remember, everything I talked about is just my personal opinion. If you have your own thoughts or disagree with something, feel free to share them in the comments. I'd love to read them. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.